welcome to DBC Reads. Today I'm going to be telling you about The Wake-Up Call by Beth O'Leary. Now this book takes place in a hotel where there's 3 different people working the front desk, and 2 of them don't get along very well. One of them is very data-driven, and one of them is more emotionally driven, just very much into the feeling that she gets in return, and the empathy and whatever that she feels in different situations. So, but the hotel is about to go bottom up, and so the data-driven hotel employee, he's very much trying to save the hotel because he's saving their jobs, he's saving the hotel. They all very much care for the owners who live on site, and they want to all pitch in and contribute to help the hotel stay in business. They call her Poor Molly, I think was her name. She's the 3rd person that runs the hotel desk, and they always call her Poor Molly, I think was her name, because she's always stuck in the middle of the other 2's bickering. So we've got Izzy and Lucas, and they don't get along at all, but they're both trying to save the hotel and figure out the best way to do that. The hotel staff are very close with one another. There's a restaurant on site, and they're also very much a part of the hotel guests' lives. They've got guests there, a family that's staying because they're waiting for renovations to be completed on their home. They've got an elderly gentleman staying there who used to come every year with his wife, and he still comes and spends an extended period of time there now that she's passed. And then there's this hotel company, this development company that wants to come in and purchase the hotel. He tries to date Izzy, get his foot in the door, but Lucas tries to sabotage that relationship for Izzy. Obviously, this is a love-hate relationship that Izzy and Lucas have with one another. And I just kept thinking, as a person who runs a hotel, especially with long-term guests, you've probably got to be very invested in the lives of your hotel guests. You see things, you know certain secrets that they have, things like that. The hotel really takes a hit, though, when there's some structural damage due to wear and use and age that has to be fixed, which is another big reason that the hotel is struggling for cash. So they decide that one effective way of getting enough cash infused into the hotel is to sell some of the lost and found items that they have. But Izzy just can't sell the wedding rings. There's a bunch of wedding, engagement, beautiful rings, and so she's determined to find the owners. So the first ring she finds the owner for, she gets this sizable cash reward to the hotel. So she thinks, well, if we can do this once, we can do this a lot. And then think about how much money, especially if they all give this much. We're going to get plenty of money for the hotel. Not everyone is able to give money or wants to give money or even considers giving money that they find the ring for, but Izzy and Lucas decide to make it a competition on finding the ring owners because, why not? Because Lucas kind of thinks it's a stupid plan, but he also thinks he can do anything better than Izzy, or he acts like he thinks that way. We get to see the story kind of from both perspectives of Izzy and Lucas, and see where each of them are coming from and how they feel. They've also got their personal relationships in there with their families and their friends, and their relationships with being single and dating and things like that. And then they begin to form a bond where they get closer to one another, a little too close sometimes, for both of their comforts. But in the end, you get to see where their relationships ends up, how things go with trying to save the hotel, and you get to see if it's a happily ever after or not. It's a really sweet read. I really enjoyed it. At the time, I was also I occasionally listen to this podcast called Normal Gossip. I don't know if you've heard of it. If you haven't, check it out. It's kind of fun to listen to. But at the same time of reading this story, I was listening to the podcast. A friend of mine at work had said, hey, you should listen to this podcast. It's excellent. And the first episode I landed on was one about people who work the front desk at a hotel. And it's a swanky hotel they do everything for their guests, and nothing is too extreme of a request. If you want peacocks, they'll get you peacocks, to wander around, whatever. Anyway, so I was listening to the podcast, and it kind of gave me some unintentional insight as well, just about how much the front desk does for their guests, especially in a hotel that's more swanky, more personalized, those kinds of things. Not your regular Holiday Inn, go and stay for a night or two. So anyway, it was just kind of a great parallel for me to kind of make those connections as well. So that might have been part of why I enjoyed this book as much as I did, because it kind of brought those two stories together for me. So I hope you'll check out this book. If you've read it, I'd love to hear what you think. Happy reading.